Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday and it's time. Make sure you like and subscribe, by the way. That's how you know what we're talking about. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. But like and subscribe. Thank you. So, Fascinating Womanhood. How did I find this book? I found this book when I was trying to develop a character for a book that I wrote. Yes, I have the manuscript, another unfinished project. I've already talked about that. So we don't need to make me confess again that this is yet another project that has yet to be finished. The name of the book is Panties on the Table. And one of the characters in the book is preoccupied with the contents of this book. Her mother gave it to her as a parting gift, part of the dowry. She's moved overseas to work, sort of work alongside her husband as the first lady in the church. And if you've ever lived on a military base, you know there's no such thing. You're just the chaplain's wife, and she was that. But Gwen had a thing about fascinating womanhood and trying to be the perfect wife, therefore the perfect mother. She's not blameless and she's not harmless, but she's innocent. Does that make any sense? Anyway, her name is Gwen. Helen Anderlin has done pretty well for herself, actually. This book has spawned and fueled a website, for one. Of course, you can join their mailing list and that type of thing. They have an Instagram page. They have a Facebook page. So they're social media savvy. Even on YouTube, they have instructional videos that are free. To teach you how to look, how to dress, how to walk, how to talk. And I'm sure I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm doing it. Anyway, I never color inside the lines. That's what one of my friends said, and she knows who she is. And she's probably looking at this laughing because she knows how true it is. Some of you are just meeting me for the first time, so you have no idea what you're in store for. But anyway, drink that ginseng and you'll be fine. YouTube tutorials. They also have a litany of books and learning materials. And in fact, you can actually be certified in this, although they are not taking applications at the moment. Sorry. So you'll have to learn and become an expert on your own. Let's get started. So what makes a woman fascinating? The suggestion is that to be fascinating, a woman is extremely interesting, she's captivating, and she's engrossing. So that is the general definition, I think, that most of us can accept. But I wonder, what do men think? What makes a woman fascinating to him? Is it the way she dresses? Is it the way she speaks? Is it the way she looks? Is it the way she sits or crosses her legs? All of these things are going to come into the definition of womanhood and what's fascinating about women. I cannot account for that. So I do invite men to make comments in the chat below and tell us what you find fascinating about women, and what qualities make her the woman you can't leave the place before you make eye contact or say something to get her attention, even if it's only for a fleeting moment. Talk to us. I think women have been shaped by a number of things that make us fascinating or not. I know that in my generation, mothers took took it seriously because they wanted their daughters to be appealing to men and to find life partnership and to enjoy a life filled with love. Just like Barbie. But here's the thing. They sent us to charm school. Some of us had to take etiquette classes, the Emily Post drills. Some of us were in cotillions or debutante balls like myself. I was a debutante. Loved it. Loved it. And I remember in the debutante ball, we were rehearsing. And you were supposed to meet your escort and then come down the center aisle. And my escort was my crib brother, as I call him. Our mothers had us at the same time. They were neighbors, you know, all that stuff. So he was my escort, the only one trusted to keep me out past midnight. And when I walked up to meet him in rehearsal, and we were to turn and walk down the center aisle, we were rehearsing in a gymnasium. I remember the choreographer putting a stop to the music, hold it, hold it, hold it, and stopped me because I was walking like a boy. And I wasn't made into a pageant queen. So this was my time to kind of let go of the overalls and the summer camp routines and the boyish behaviors that I was probably showing at that time. I had a thing about gambling, but we'll talk about that another episode. What has shaped us as women? Was it women's lib? Some of us don't want the doors open. I do. Please open my door. Please put me in the car. I promise you, I'm going to appreciate it. I promise you that. So I have 6 ways that I think relationship definitions are formed. One is traditional roles. That's easy enough. What do women do? What do men do? In my household, the woman was supposed to, meaning when I was growing up, the mother was responsible for anything inside the house. And the husband, the father, was responsible for everything outside the house. So, right down to cleaning the windows. My mom is cleaning the inside while my dad is out on the ladder cleaning the outside. Or another great example is the car. The car was kept clean, gas in it, ready to roll out. But by the same token, my mother made sure there was always food, the curtains and the sheets were clean, there were always clean towels, that type of thing. Maintenance of the children was my mother's job until it was time to go somewhere, and I think then it was my father's job to carpool and get us to places and pick us up. But the synchronization of roles, I think, is what made it work in my household, and I believe that's what this book is trying to achieve. But I think it does not leave a lot of room for personality, although it talks about personalities and tendencies and respecting one another. I think those are important, but I think it's also important to consider that we are not all alike, first of all, and we change over time. If you're the same person you were at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, then this isn't the video. You need to consider other avenues of conversation. Then there are some women who are very focused on their careers, and I don't see how, honestly, a career can work in tandem with the concept of fascinating woman. I just don't see where the time comes from, because I get the same 24 hours as my male counterparts do. So I have to wonder, are we supporting the idea that women have to take a plan B for themselves and the men march on with plan A as leaders of the household? Maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but put it in the chat and let's talk about that too. Because Helen Andelin has some strong opinions about that, and I cannot say, I would like to, but I cannot say I disagree with everything. She does make some good, valid points about leadership and the role of men, if in fact they will accept that role. And of course, we could argue about definitions all day, but let's just stay with the book. Next. One other thing, I forgot to say this. Co-ed sports is another kind of grayish area, I think, when it comes to womanhood. And the second one is house husbands. I don't know that this concept can simply reverse a role. You know what I mean? Just put the wife in the husband's role and put the wife in the husband's role. Abracadabra, we got this thing called fascination, maybe fascinating manhood. I don't know. I'm just saying. Asking a question and pointing. Definitions of relationships culturally also have a different take, a different perspective, a different outlook. I noticed that with African men, when I was living in Africa, I lived in Africa for about 10 years, off and on. That's another story. The fact of the matter is that African men are raised with the expectation that in fact they will be responsible husbands, fathers, sons, to the extent that in Lesotho, the likelihood of there being a CEO or executive of an organization, sorry, I made my camera rock, to be the CEO or the leader of any reputable organization, for you to be a single man is probably going to work against you, because the theory is, as it was explained to me, I'm not Basotho, I'm not Musotho, although I understand points of the culture, responsibility being one of them, male's responsibility, female's responsibility in a marriage. It is unlikely that he can lead an organization if in fact he can't lead a family. So if you can't handle women and children, what are you going to do with our bank? Another definition may be formed out of religious beliefs. Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, and then within those spiritual perspectives, you're going to also have different variations, right? And then there's the whopper. Nobody wants to talk about the business of a relationship or a marriage. That's probably a hot topic. You can't put it off, I don't think. I think you should talk about it from the door. It's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's better to talk about it before we get to the courthouse and discover that you want to go Dutch on everything, when I'm thinking, my brother, where are your coins? I need to know why you deserve all of the things that I'm doing for you. So when the bill comes, my love, please have the money. And if you don't, the time to tell me is when we're in the car. In fact, before we leave, because I might not agree to this at all. I'm just saying. One last impact that comes to mind for me in forming the definition of womanhood is in parenthood. If you're a single parent, womanhood is going to take on a different complexion. It's going to have a different pattern, a different weave, a different value. And I say that because women, single parents, women and men actually, have to play both traditional roles. And if this is a blended family situation, then things are going to change again, because there may be other parents involved who are not in that relationship or in that marriage. And finally, you may find that, especially with persons who have more than one child with more than one woman or one man, it gets complicated very quickly, I think. And that is a balancing act that I do not envy. If we have any single parents on this channel, I would love to hear what you think about all of this and how you maybe give up some of these things as you move into a relationship, and in what order. I mean, I know for myself, again, this is, personal experience, and I'm willing to talk about certain things. I know that when my mother started to date again, we didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I speak for myself. When I was younger, and then as time would move on after the death of her husband, she would go out again. But when I say we, by then it was me and my sister. I had no idea this woman was out dating. And it didn't bother me. I thought it was great. I thought she needed the companionship. But I also realized she had buried 2 husbands, and that changes everything. How do you view a relationship after a loss? And I think that is yet another level of conversation that is not explored in the book, but it's worth considering, that we're not all the same. Again, the message keeps coming. We're not all the same. The most we can hope for is to glean something of value out of this book and find a roadmap maybe to a better life inside of a relationship. So let's see if we can do that. All right. So we have an assignment. You and I have an assignment, and I'm going to read it directly out of the book. In becoming the ideal woman, you are not starting from zero. Take a good look at yourself and you'll find things to appreciate. Write down 25 things you like about yourself. It sounds simple, I know. This is something you can do in the grocery store. You can do it while you're in line at the ATM, waiting for the car in front of you. Just text yourself and see if you can't get this 25 together, okay? 25 things about yourself. Don't include things as frivolous as your earrings or your shoes. In that case, you would say, you would get 1 and say, for example, I have a sense of style. I think I have a sense of style. I love eyewear, by the way. Can't wait to get this thing monetized so I can get some what? These eyeballs are tired. I wear bifocals and I have astigmatism. And then there's the thing with the fluorescent lights. And then the spectrum with the halogen lights is bad for me. Whew. Anyway, I digress. So, again, in becoming the ideal woman, you are not starting from zero. Take a good look at yourself and you'll find things to appreciate. Write down 25 things you like about yourself. What we're going to do is have that in front of us when we start talking in the next series, next installation in the series. We're going to talk about angelic qualities of a woman in terms of what men are seeking in a relationship, in a woman. Angelic qualities. Are you an angel? I'm an angel. I am. Okay, bye until then. See you next week.